Welcome to another Jazzy Talk. On this episode, we welcome back the reigning and defending Jazzy Season 5 champion, AmirXL. Welcome, Amir, to the show again. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk to me and give us an update on what it's been like for you the last few months. And so, welcome back and thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having me. Just want to say, hey everybody, what's up? I'm still around, playing pretty casually still. I still want to do my best this year at Jazzy. I'm going to try. Usually, I know a bunch of players like to practice like a couple months prior to Jazzy, so I think I'll be taking a lot more serious right before the event.
So, this season, you qualified again by winning the Jazzy Gaming Zone Auto-Qualifier earlier this month. And so now you have put yourself in a position to be possibly, not to jinx things, but no one has ever been a repeat Jazzy champion. We've always had a new champion every year. And so you are in the position to make history and be the first player to ever repeat as Jazzy champion. I'm just going to assume that this is something that you might want to accomplish because you did attend the Jazzy TGZ auto qualifier. And so I just want to start the podcast by asking you, what would it mean for you to be the first player to be the two-time repeat Jazzy champion back to back?
Yeah, it would mean a lot to me. I mean, I really do want to win. It would be nice. I definitely want to bring it home for SoCal, representing SoCal for sure. And just in general, it's fun to compete, and winning really was a big confidence boost for me. So I still feel like I can do it. I just need to really hardcore focus on just studying and getting better. I have a lot to work on that I can improve on. That's the one thing about Third Strike that I love is just you're constantly improving, even 2 decades later.
Speaking of Jazzy Finale last year, we haven't gotten a chance to get your thoughts on the event. This was, I think, your second straight Jazzy Finale weekend. You captured the belt last year, and so I just wanted to get your thoughts on what that experience was like for you attending Jazzy last year.
It was, literally a 10 out of 10. I mean, everything about Jazzy was such a fun time. All I can mention is just, like, the energy you get from Jazzy compared to other events is, very different. It's just, focused on third strike. People really want to win, and you can really feel the competitive drive, especially during, like, top 16, on Sundays. It's just when you're choosing players in the bracket and you feel that nervousness, like it's just I don't know, it's hard to describe. It's a really good feeling to go into that with adrenaline and wanting to win. So I definitely am excited for this year too. I don't know who I'm going to pick this year, but that's already some strategic stuff that people are going to be looking at as well.
The Jazzy Finale experience is unique in that sense because it is one of the few remaining grassroots events where it is part of a tournament series and you're kind of building up that anticipation. And for a top player like you, I think that experience might be a little bit different from, say, a player who may not have qualified. And so I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on why you think. I guess what I'm asking you to do is kind of to do my job for me, Abir. But why do you think someone say, if even if you aren't able to qualify, or why do you think someone should attend an event like Jazzy Finale? Because, like you said, it is a bit unique, especially in this day and age where the events are usually multi-game, and as opposed to a 3-day event focused on one game. Although we are starting to bring in more retro games, but for those listening to the podcast and maybe thinking about going to the Jazzy Finale, like why should you go?
There's a couple things I can mention. One, just socializing with people is just amazing. Everybody's really friendly. It's a great community. There's a lot of places like in the US, I'm sure, that have very small communities, but when you go out to Jazzy, everybody's welcoming. Yeah, the cheering and the team tournament. I mean, I always want to show up early just because I like watching the team tournament. I never want to miss that. I love watching like last chance auto qualifiers because that's intense as well. It's very interesting just being able to grab some food, talk with friends, watch great matches for, the whole 3 days. It's a pretty big event. I don't know, I would say it's very important to attend just to see how it is. Like, it's a very memorable experience. Well, that's the best way I could put it.
Tell me a little bit more about what that was like for you, because you did participate in the team tournament, but like you were saying on Saturday, you don't really do anything, and as far as competitively, because you qualified, and so you participate in the team tournament on Friday, and then you have championship Sunday. But tell me a little bit more about what it was like for you to watch the LCQ last year.
All literally showed up and watched Third Strike literally the whole day. I mean, I was playing casuals every now and then as well, but I mean, there's strategic stuff too, of course. Like you want to
Mhm.
see who wins and who's going to be in that top 16. But I mean, the real reason is just cheering with everybody and watching some really good matches. I mean, I'm obviously going to cheer for Chun Li's. So it's just, it's hard to describe. Like, I guess it's different than going to like a local. The intensity is much different. I get you feel energy when you're there. There's this really unique energy at Jazzy, and it's such a big venue too, with like, all the monitors that you just get like jam-packed Third Strike for the entire weekend. So, yeah, just trying to think of like a different way to put it, but I apologize. It's just like it's just a really good time.
Oh yeah, I was just curious, did you play at all on Saturday? Because one of the things that we really try to stress at the Jazzy Finale is we wanna give everyone who attends a lot of opportunities to play casuals. So many of us are spread out all over the country. Not all scenes have the ability to play arcade Third Strike. And so something that we really try to do at the finale is give everyone an opportunity to be able to play a lot of casuals and to play casuals with people that they may only be able to play online or maybe not play at all because of connection issues. And so I was just curious, did you play at all on Saturday or were you just watching?
I was doing both.
Mhm.
I mean, the good thing about Jazzy too is that there's so many cabinets. You definitely get to play. You don't have to wait very long, and then you do get to play like a unique amount of people. I remember the year before, for Jazzy 2 years ago, I was playing Lance, and then Bubbles was like right next to like the other machine. So you had like Ryu and Chun, and you just get all these different play styles that are really unique. And for me, it's kind of hard because I have a hard time playing casuals. Adrenaline for me really helps me in tournaments, but I mean, I'll try to play my best in casuals as well. But yeah, I was trying to play as many people as possible. I remember there was a lot of the Texas crew that wanted to play, and everybody was just having like a good time, and everybody's just learning and seeing different play styles. It's actually interesting to see how different everybody else plays. Like it's unique. Nobody really plays exactly the same, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. So let's talk about Sunday. Like, what was that day like for you? It's the day of the finals. Like you alluded to before, the top 16 on Sunday is a little bit unique. Everyone gets to choose, quote unquote, choose where do they go in the bracket. Last year, for the first time, what we did is precede the people who qualified through the LCQ, which personally I think is the right move. It seems like
Yeah,
it may
I
not
agree.
make sense to let them choose. I mean, it is LTQ, and we want to reward those who, like yourself, who put in the time and money and effort to go to an auto qualifier and try to qualify that way, or for those people who qualify through points, whether it's through ranking events or online events. But yeah, tell me what that Sunday was like for you and leading up to the finale itself.
Excited. And I remember Saturday night, it's hard for me to sleep. I was just thinking a lot about Sunday. It's a lot of fun. When I showed up, it felt like a game show almost. Like there's all this strategic planning on where to go in the bracket and who's going to pick you if someone does. And for me, like, I analyze, like, brackets a lot. It's pretty important. I mean, if you wanna try to, I guess, up your chances as much as possible, but I was excited the entire time, just, like, being up there, every single name that was called was just fun, and then certain ones are just very surprising, like, people will just be, like, super confident, will go for, like, the best. I remember 2 years ago, Resolve chose, Yuki, and I was just in shock. I was like, "Wow, that's a intense match right there for a first round," so stuff like that just brings a lot of hype, and it was exciting.
What was your strategy for choosing where you wanted to be in the bracket? Did you have one or
So, I noticed most of the bracket were Kens, and I was playing a lot versus Ken, just learning 'cause, Frankie's still the best, like, Ken versus Chen, in my opinion, and he dominated me. So, I was just like, "Okay, this year I'm gonna try to just play as many Kens as possible," because that was the match I was practicing the most. And, going into that top 16, I was, really gunning for Neiman because, like, he's just such a solid player, and, he was the one that I was actually most worried for, and I just wanted to play him again because I was wanted to try all the things that I've been practicing for, the last couple months. And so I just wanted to play all the Kens pretty much.
yeah, I think you ended up playing Big Red in the bracket, and of course in grand finals you beat Neiman to take the title, and I think you beat 5 Star at the barcode auto qualifier. And so, what do you think your confidence level is at with that matchup now? I mean, it's one of those classic top tier matchups, right? Ken Chun. But how do you feel about that matchup now?
I feel a lot better than I used to. I'll be honest, like, I'm not gonna lie to anybody, like, it's frustrating when you lose or when you get, like, thrashed in a tournament, but I was watching matches and just trying my best to not get in that mentality of being stuck. Because if you get stuck or if you get angry, it's just gonna deteriorate your gameplay. So, I asked around and I was watching matches, analyzed more stuff. I'm still actually getting better at it. I have a couple more new things to try because currently in SoCal, I would say he's still the best player. Like just he's improved so much in the last 2 years. It's pretty crazy. So I need to improve as well to catch up to that. And I have so many new ideas that I just need to work on.
So you win Jazzy, and then you go straight to Evo, basically the following month. And so I wanted to switch gears and get your thoughts on playing at Evo, especially coming straight from Jazzy. And so 3S was a really big deal at Evo last year. It was the 25th anniversary of the game, and a lot of people came out, including Japanese players. And because you won Jazzy, you were able to go to Evo. And so, yeah, tell me a little bit about your experience playing Third Strike at Evo, and how was that like for you?
So Evo, it feels more like a convention now than it used to. It's a different vibe, but it's still sociable and like you do get nervous. I mean, you're on stage, I mean, when you go on stage, I apologize. Like if you're on stage, there's a lot more like spotlight on you, and then you're playing like foreign players too. There was a lot of foreign players at Evo this year, which was really interesting. And I know Neovbon has been at like Jazzy and such, but there's a couple other players. Like I played Rao and Brack. I've never played Shurikuro, and I did pretty decent. I was happy with my results. I got top 16, and just watching matches was really fun. It was just kind of just like I don't know, like a long day, but more like yeah, like, I guess, convention, you could say. The setups, though, I can say were pretty decent. I know a lot of people weren't happy. I would say the only gripe I had with it was the monitors were kinda on the smaller side, and you couldn't really sit far apart from each other because the monitors were kinda small. I know that's something that just has to be that way, but, I mean, I like to play, like, very separate or head to head, so that's, one thing that I wish we could change in the future if possible.
So, what was your mindset then going into Evo? I know firsthand how fierce of a competitor you are. You always want to win.
Yeah, like,
So,
that's oh,
yeah.
I apologize. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, it's okay. I was just wondering what your mindset going into Evo, because you had started by saying it felt more like a convention thing. So I just kind of wanted to get a sense of what your mindset was going into the event, like, because you already knew what the setups would be like. You already knew that it wasn't gonna be on arcade. It wasn't going to be, I guess you could say, run in the most optimal way. And so did that have any effect at all on your mindset as far as going into Evo? Like, again, I know you obviously wanted to win and you are a competitor, but yeah, like, how did it feel? Like, what were your goals when you were going to Evo?
Realistically, if you want like truthful goals with confidence levels that day, I really just wanted to make top 128. I don't know why. But then when I made top 128, it's like, all right, I really need to gun for top six. Like I really, really want to make stage.
Mhm.
But I mean, there were just so many, competitors. It was really shocking to see Third Strike do pretty decent in my opinion. And there were so many strong players. Like the Japanese in general were so strong. I was watching just everybody play against you. It was really fun to watch, and there was people like Cruz there and JR, like people you haven't seen in a while. Um, it was like a fun time to watch, but for me, like I really was trying to gun for top six. I really wanted to win that. I got pretty close, but I mean, I'm not upset with my results. I lost to Rao and I lost to Shurikuro, which I know for sure are like, top probably 10 chuns in the world, probably. So if I can compete at that caliber, even just a little, that makes me happy.
So I want to switch gears and talk a little bit about season 6. And so you decided to go out to the Jazzy Gaming Zone Auto-Qualifier. And so your thoughts on that event and your mindset going into that tournament.
So that was my first time going out to Arizona. It was a great event. Me and Tom had a great time. Um, it was fun, like, the cabinets were great, everything was flawless, I got to talk to a lot more people like Bailey and so many others. I got to play against Ariana, and, her execution's amazing. There's actually some stuff I was gonna ask her, and I forgot to before we went because we were only there for 1 day, but, like, how to store legs with Chun-Li, for example, that's something I was gonna ask her. But just everybody there was so cool, and the event was really fun. It was very fun to watch everybody actually compete because a lot of people were getting hyped during the, top 16, and it was a good time. Like, going in that tournament, I was nervous at first, like always, but then playing more and more and more, getting more like adrenaline rush for me kind of gets me a little stronger. And I felt pretty confident towards like, I guess like top eight pretty much. Like, I guess all my butterflies went away, if I can mention that way.
Who were some players that you already mentioned Ariana Grande, but were there some other players that you were impressed with that day on with how they performed?
Yeah, of course. Seek with 12 was amazing. Rushdown, little different than Vi's playstyle. I know there's not that many 12 players out there, but just excellent rushdown, excellent player.
Yeah, it was really nice to see a 12 player hang with the main characters, so to speak. I remember during the last Jazzy Talk, we talked about Chun-Li versus Necro, and you ended up facing Bling in grand finals. And so tell me a little bit about that set and how you felt going into that particular matchup, because I distinctly remember in the last Jazzy Talk, we were talking about your competitive history against Necro, and you had mentioned that you had lost to I believe, a Chilean Necro player at a Third Strike side event at Evo. And so anything that new that you've kind of picked up as far as that matchup goes, and your strategy or your approach, anything different from now since the last time we talked about that matchup?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've studied a lot for that matchup. One thing I've been telling a lot of people and showing them at events is that I'm going to be 41 this year, so it's kind of hard to remember every possible reversal super in the game. So I'll have like a little notepad on my phone, and it'll show me like what can I punish and what can I not against Necro specifically. I have a bunch of characters in there, but Necro has so many things that are very specific. For example, if you low forward me like mid screen and I just get hit, I can reversal super you. That's one thing I need to abuse. But things like that. I noticed turtling helped out a lot, and like you mentioned, the Chilean Necro double jeoparded me at Evo, and that really got me to like think like, what did I do wrong? Like I just couldn't throw him, so I had to come up with like a different approach, and movement is like the most important thing in third strike, in my opinion. And I just wasn't in the right positioning against that matchup. And now it's just like I have a general idea where to be. I know there's different necro play styles, but since I've I guess adapted a little bit, I haven't lost since. So I'm interested to see if I can still keep it up. Bling style, I don't think he was more rushdown, to be honest. Like he would chase me, so I just felt comfortable when he was coming to me because it's just my whole like idea for that matchup is just to build meter as fast as possible. And I'm sorry to all the Necro players, but Palm is like the most broken thing against Necro. So I don't think Bling was ready to get like abused by Palm yet. But I think the more he plays, he's gonna adapt like super fast, and it was a good time playing against him.
Yeah, I think the Necro Chun matchup is really all about the meta is all centered around Chun's meter and Necro's meter too. For me, as a Necro player, when I play a Chun, first thing that I like to focus on is to not make it easy for the Chun player to build meter, making sure that that you really cut down on, I like to call your unforced errors,
Yeah, pretty much.
pressing things in ranges where you might be able to punish, uh, just being very disciplined, like you were saying with back fierce. It's a good button, but Necro can whiff punish it with a stand strong. And just again being mindful of, like you were saying, your approach is the right approach. You want to get meter as fast as possible. So from the perspective of a Necro player, I know that you want to do that, but with all things in third strike, how do you build meter? You have to press buttons, right?
Yeah,
And when you
right.
press buttons, there is inherent risk in pressing buttons. If your neutral is strong, you can get the Chun to whiff punish, or you can get the Chun to press something that you can whiff punish. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting matchup because I think a lot of it is just a race to meter. This is why when Sugiyama shared his quote unquote master plan against Chun, he talks about how Necro has to win that first round. In Sugiyama's opinion, it's almost impossible to beat Chun with Necro if you don't win that first round. You know, Sugiyama's strategy is really revolves around how much meter Chun has. Because like you were saying, there's so many things that Chun can reversal super, whether on hit or block. I think for me, a lot of it is just centered around meter management and trying to trying to know, like you were saying, that Bling seemed more like Rushdown. I think for Necro, it really is a lot about knowing when to advance, knowing when to pick your spot. Because I think Necro is still very strong against Chun when Necro gets Chun in the corner.
Yeah, that's the scariest thing too. That was another thing that I was like analyzing a lot. I kept trying to, I guess, throw necros in the corner, and a lot of necros have such great like flawless defense, and it didn't feel worth it. So I feel playing the mid screen is more important. And something about Sugiyama that's really interesting is that watching his matches, he feels like the Terminator. He's just slowly moving in, and he just has this distance that's so flawless. I'm actually kind of nervous. That's like one of the players I don't want to play. I would feel extremely nervous playing him, but um, yeah, distancing is really important. Pairing is really important. And that
Yeah.
matchup, like you said, it's just rough. But like you said, I think Necro can win that matchup. Chun does struggle like in the corner. Like I'm just scared. I mean, that's another reason why a lot of people are like, "Oh, just like wake up SBK and, is it worth it? Or are there necros that know how to beat it?" Like there's so many variables, but at the tippy top, like you're kind of just stuck in the corner, like you said.
So you kind of pulled double duty that weekend. The very next day, you went to the Barcode First Strike tournament. And so tell me a little bit about that event.
Um I wish I kind of like so I wanted to stay in Arizona an extra night because I felt bad. I wanted to play with everybody and check out, the town. But I mean, Barcode set their date, and Arlieth was the one that was like, you could just drive the next day. So I was kind of hesitant to do that, to drive a good 14 hours and then go straight to another tournament. But overall, it was great. Like you said, there's a lot of players that showed up, and it's fun seeing like Hung and Chris. Chris is definitely like up and coming Chun Li. I think he's gonna take over if he just needs to play like a little bit more, and he'll be like a super strong Chun Li. And then playing Juan in finals was the highest I've ever had my heartbeat, I think, in a third strike tournament. Like I tried to show it on stream. I think I was at like 170, 165, just because I don't know. I just really wanted to win. I get like a lot of adrenaline. I'm not really sure if this applies to everybody, but just playing in finals or getting to finals, like adrenaline just skyrockets, and like I just want to do my absolute best. And people are they're happy. They want to see a good grand finale. So I know a lot of Chun haters, but had to beat Ryu, and Juan's just an excellent player.
Yeah, that excitement, that rush that you were talking about. This is going to sound super biased, especially coming from you and me, because of course, Third Strike is our game. But I don't know if you would agree with me, but there's just something about the way the game is designed that sort of feeds on what you were talking about, that rush of adrenaline. People who thrive in those situations, who enjoy that experience of responding to high pressure situations. To me, that's one of the joys of both playing and spectating a game like Third Strike, because the game can be so volatile because of the mechanics and the parry and everything. I don't know, would you agree with me that there's just something unique about the game? And maybe that's kind of what makes it unique. It really feeds on that rush that you were talking about. Because of the way the game is designed, it just lends itself to these high pressure situations. And I feel like a lot of future Street Fighter titles, ever since Third Strike, has been trying to reverse engineer that. Like, I don't know how much you play six, but like it just feels like ever since Third Strike, these modern Street Fighter games have been trying to reproduce that. But there's just something about Third Strike. Again, it seems like at any moment the tide can turn and momentum can shift, and you could go from winning the game and then maybe just like one mistake and now you're on the verge of defeat.
Yeah, I agree 100%. A lot of the stuff you said, I totally agree with. It does force you to be stressed, in my opinion. I'll give you an example. I lost to Juan in winners finals, and normally, like I would say, like don't get mad, and obviously, like I was upset, but like I was more upset at myself of like, what did I do wrong? Why do I keep what do I do to improve within such a short period of time? I feel like in other like Street Fighter games, you have less options. I don't know if it's 100% true, but this is how I personally feel. When I go and think about something in Third Strike, you have plenty of options to get out. It's very rare where you're just like, oh, you lose, or there's only one way out. Like there's multiple ways out of situations, and that adrenaline helps me figure stuff out faster, I guess you could say. Like, I was thinking like, what do I do? What should I change? Should I move differently? Should I not hit this button? And, Tom was talking to me. He's like, do you know what to do now? I'm like, I think so. And, I played a little better, and I don't know if it was like super convincing, but I did better. And I think I got lucky against Juan, but it worked out. That adrenaline is very addictive. Like you said, like you want to feel, like you have to figure out what to do at all times.
I don't know if you remember, but a lot when we were coming up, I think a big critique of Third Strike, people like to call it random. Remember when that word was always tossed
Mhm.
around when people were talking about the game? People were saying, "Oh, Third Strike is random." Like almost as if like I remember distinctly that when people would say that, it was meant to be kind of a negative. Oh, Third Strike is random. And now when I think about it, like that's what makes the game great to me. I don't know. What do you think as far as, because I think there's still like some players who think, oh, there should be a certain way to play, or Sometimes I remember playing people and they would get upset because, "Oh, why would you do that there?" Or why would you go with that option? What if I did this? What if I did that?" Um, but I don't know, looking back on it, to me, that's what makes the game fresh, or that's what make continues to keep the game fresh, that randomness. I don't know, what do you think about this idea of third strike as quote unquote random? Is that something that you remember people saying back in the day?
I still feel like certain people still say that to date.
Yeah.
But, like, I think, when you get to the point of, like, the highest tier caliber of play, I think it's so interesting for it to be that random because, it just continually pushes you to shift your gameplay, and it's like, who can figure out how to abuse things and get you to shift faster, I guess you could say,
Mhm.
and it's so interesting to me. That's why, in my opinion, Third Strike is so fun. In general, watching pro players adapt and change up, like, on the fly within just a grand finals, for example, is very impressive to me. I wouldn't say it's very linear. I know a lot of people say, like, "Oh, just play Chun and just do, like, low forward and super," but it's so much more than that. Like, I can't stress enough that, like, movement, I think, is the absolute most important thing in the game. Like, where you are on screen matters so much, and that just shifts your gameplay to be at an advantage a lot of the times that people just don't see.
So, kind of looking ahead to the Jazzy finale, it would be great in a perfect world for all of the strongest American Third Strike players to be at Jazzy. Unfortunately, that isn't always the case, at least right now. Doesn't seem like the Third Strike scene is in a position to guarantee that that always happens. Maybe one day in the future. Who knows what lies ahead for the future of the competitive Third Strike scene. But say in a perfect world, we get all of the top American Third Strike players at the finale. Who are some players, not to put you on the spot, but I am going to.
That's fine.
Um, who are some players that you would really love to test your abilities against? Players that maybe you haven't gotten a chance to play a lot, especially in, like you were saying, these high pressure, high stakes situations like an Evo or a Jazzy finale.
And you're saying US specific, correct?
Sure. And then maybe we can talk about Japanese players, but then we could be here forever, right? So
That's
maybe we
true.
should, yeah, so maybe we should talk about American players first. But yeah, who are some players that you would love to go up against?
One person I have not played yet that I would love to just see at Jazzy in general, I think would be Tenrun Ibuki because I hear such great things. And I've actually never played against him, so that'd be really cool
Online or
too.
offline?
Yeah, never, ever, not even once. Never played him. And I've never seen him in real life either, so it's like this mythical creature that is godlike with Ibuki, which is so cool to me because Ibuki's such a hard character to play. It would be, such an interesting thing to see him play, or just I just wanna play against him in general. He's challenged me online, on Fightgate a couple times. The only thing is that I was, like, in the online Jazzy tournaments or just tournaments in general, so I felt bad that I had to decline. And I don't really play, like, online as much, it's usually just for, like, tournaments.
Yeah, Tenren. I would definitely love to see you against Tenren, especially because Tom is Buki
Yeah.
main.
I think
Um,
it'll be the only time he'll ever cheer against me probably. Like, just character loyalty and, like, it's rough for Ibuki players, so I understand, but she's such a cool character, and just seeing people of that caliber play her is just really awesome.
yeah. Who are some other American Third Strike players that you would love to see at the finale and would like a chance to compete against? Regardless of whether you played them before or not, who would you love to be able to compete against in something like the Jazzy finale?
Sure, Resolve again, because Resolve's defense is just magical. I don't know how to describe it. His defense is so weird, but it's just so strong. So that gets me hyped to wanna, play him more and learn how to, I guess, break the barrier. So definitely Resolve. I saw Cruz at Evo, and I've only played him once, but he did just so well against everybody. It would be fun to play against him as well. And I don't think he's made it out to a Jazzy yet. If correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure if he was at season 1 or 2, but it would be cool to see him at a Jazzy. Yi, of course, because he's character, and he's just improved so much. You guys will. I want to see if you guys will see the noticeable improvement. He's just very strong and a lot of new things that I haven't seen before, which is really cool.
Awesome, awesome. Uh, let's kind of talk a little because you've mentioned a lot of players. I know Resolve is really Central California, but you've mentioned Five Star, you mentioned uh, Cruise, and so talk to me a little bit about, I guess you could call the current state of the SoCal Third Strike scene. This is the scene I was that introduced me to competitive Third Strike. And when you look at the history just of Jazzy, uh, I guess if you claim Ryan as SoCal, then technically out of the 5 seasons of Jazzy, 3 seasons have been won by SoCal players. Ryan winning season 1, Yi winning season 2, and then yourself winning season 5. And I think for people who are familiar with the American Third Strike scene, uh, most people are probably uh, well aware of how strong historically the SoCal Third Strike scene has been. But tell me a little bit about the current state of the scene, because we just got done talking about the Barcode event and how you mentioned that you met a lot of players that maybe you hadn't really seen before, or new players. We would be remiss if we didn't mention the return of Don. Don's Arcade. Shout outs to Don for continuing to open up his house to allow people to play this game of ours. But yeah, what are your thoughts on kind of how the SoCal Third Strike scene is going right now?
All right, so I guess I can start off by saying that I don't think SoCal could ever replicate the amount of, I guess, intensiveness of learning how to get better. I don't know, maybe that's not the word. I shouldn't use that. It's not as strong as Family Days were when it comes to continually improving, I guess you could say. Um, there's only about 3 places to play right now. I mean, it's literally just like Barcode, Dons, and I guess like Boiler if you're invited. And the scene has died down quite significantly from a long time ago, but that doesn't mean that players aren't, dedicated and they don't want to get better. I would just say that there's more casual players than there are hardcore players in 2025 in SoCal currently, unfortunately. I know there's players that want to get better, but I'm just talking about ones that are willing to travel out to, go to Jazzy or maybe even Japan one day. Um, it's definitely a lot more casual than it was before. I can definitely mention that. At least that's my perspective on it.
Do you think the SoCal Third Strike scene currently has an ecosystem that welcomes newer players?
Yes, 100%. I would say the community is great. I mean, there's lots of new players I've never seen before. Specifically, Barcode has, I would say, the most amount of new players in general that I've seen for Third Strike, and they're continuing playing. I don't think they're at that level of wanting to compete in tournaments or win things, if that makes sense. I think they're just really happy with the game and just enjoying Third Strike, if that makes sense.
Oh, that makes sense. And I guess that's a mark of how great the game is, or the mark of any great video game. You can enjoy it on so many different ways. Like you were mentioning, you can play it casually, you can play it competitively. And so I think that is a testament to how great the game is, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So you had mentioned players like Resolve, and you had mentioned that you're going to be turning. What did you say you were going to be turning 41 pretty soon?
Yeah.
Okay.
41 in May, isn't that? It's
Wow.
pretty crazy.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah, so you and I are getting to that age where I mean, I think we've already been old. Um, so I kind of want to ask you to look ahead, and I don't know who do you think? Because I know you already mentioned Resolve, but who do you think might be some of the other, I guess you could call future stars of the competitive Third Strike scene? People that you think are going to be uh, at the forefront of this new generation of Third Strike competitors, based on what you've seen so far in online events and offline events. Like, who do you think are the players right now that have uh, a great deal of potential to kind of take that next step, as you were saying, and sort of be the next generation of great competitors in our scene?
100%, I can immediately say Boa. Hands down, best Oro in the States. Just amazing player overall. I just like the fact that every time that we play, we just try to improve. And I've mentioned things and we've talked online. And, I just want to get us to improve as much as possible. And this is one, like Boa in general, is one player to watch out for 100%. There's a lot of drive that I can see and uniqueness that, very few people have. I want to mention Resolve again too. Just it's just those two specifically for younger generation, amazing players to be able to just dominate. With not the amount of time that, like, let's say, like I have, for example, like 2 decades is kind of a long time. I should be doing a lot better, but I'm glad that I can compete against them in this day and age, even just a little bit.
Any other players that you've run into that you think have a lot of potential to get to that next level, aside from
Yeah,
Boa and Resolve?
sure. SoCal wise, I can mention Bessels, of course. Bessels, he's been playing for a decent amount, but he's still not like, our generation, I guess you could say. So I would say Bessels has a lot of potential to be, probably potentially number one in SoCal if he really wanted it. I can see him just improving and wanting to get better. Um, and it's really a really cool thing to see. Like he actually wants to play more often, and I've been trying to make it out to Boiler as much as I can. But the more competitive drive you have, and wanting to play is good.
So, what are some goals that you have left as a competitor? Are there still we started the podcast talking about how you have this opportunity to be the first player to win back-to-back Jazzy titles, but are there any other goals that you have, things that you would like to do or accomplish in the competitive Third Strike scene?
Yeah, of course. A couple things I can mention are, I definitely would love to win back-to-back Jazzy events. I mean, I'm going to try my hardest. I'm going to study, and I'm already, talking to Tom about like certain matchups and things and analyzing stuff of what I could do better. I have so many ideas on what to work on, like red pairing and just pairing in general, spacing, stuff like that. But for future stuff, it would be cool. I know this is just an idea, but like a Jazzy team being sent out to Japan would be really sick. That would be, I don't know, I just thought of these ideas where like every season winner could maybe team, or maybe they would have to play in like a, let's say there's like 8 Jazzies total, and maybe they could have like a tournament for the 5 spots for like a team to go to Japan to represent Jazzy. That'd be really cool. That would be like a dream of mine. So that would be really cool. Um but yeah, I just wanna be able to compete with people nowadays. I mean, I generally feel like I'm not even like a top 100 chun in the world. So,
No,
I'd like
I
to break
know.
that,
Well, I
and I would
definitely think you are, Amir.
I'd like to break that barrier. I would like to get like maybe top 20 chuns, top 30.
Oh,
That'd be nice.
I think you're already like I think you're selling yourself a little bit too short.
No,
Mm,
I generally feel that way. Like I'm very generally happy to just be able to compete with everybody all these years later, and I still have that like the drive. Like I mentioned, that adrenaline rush when you're in tournaments is something I highly suggest people try to get to, because it's just such a good feeling that you continuously want it, and you want to just compete nonstop. It's such a fun feeling.
Yeah. Well, you kind of already started answering my last question that I have for you, and that's, when you close your eyes and you think about the competitive third strike scene 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, what is it that you see when you close your eyes and you think about the future, uh, especially for American competitive third strike? Who knows how it's going to evolve in Japan? Matsuda has done a great job of weathering the storm and adapting to current conditions to keep the scene in Tokyo, Japan at large going. But I don't know, like when you think about the future of American third strike, what do you see? What would you like to see? I mean, you were already talking about maybe the idea of sending a team, which is not really a new idea. This is something that we were doing when SBO was going on with SBO qualifiers at Family and Engine Arcade. But I don't know. Like, do you ever think about the future of the competitive third strike scene? Is that something that you think about? And if so, like, what do you see the future holding for third strike here in America?
If if the things are going the way they are right now, I mean, Third Strike definitely has a bright future. I don't think the game is dying. If anything, it's just getting bigger with things like Jazzy and Evo. Seeing so many competitors and seeing all these new players, I have faith that the game will last, quite a bit longer, maybe even 3 decades. But, with players like Resolve and Boa, I'm just hoping to see a lot more players turn out to be as unique and special as them because it's just, something that's really interesting to see, and I hope more people continuously play the game. It's a great game.
I think that's definitely an understatement. Well, thanks for your time on the podcast, Amir. It's always a pleasure to be able to sit down with you and catch up and hear your thoughts on the game, especially 20 plus years in. And so, is there anything that you wanted to say before we wrap this up?
Yeah, of course. So I want to say, first and foremost, thank you for everything you've done for the Third Strike community in general. Honestly, I mean, me and Tom can't thank you enough for all the memories that we've had from, just Jazzy and even prior, like, family days, just everything was just really good memories in general. And also just the Jazzy team. Thank you guys for all that you do. I mean, honestly, it's really great to be able to compete and meet new players. I met Venkabot, and really, really happy to be able to call him a friend. And I think Jazzy's in good hands. And I also think that everybody that hasn't made it out to Jazzy should at least try once. It's such an amazing experience. You will not forget it. And if you are generally into Third Strike, you will. It's a big thing that it will keep in memories forever. So yeah, other than that, just I'll try to compete with everybody out there that wants to beat me at this year's Jazzy. I'll try my best to hold the belt and represent SoCal. And yeah, I'll see you guys at Jazzy for sure.
All right. Well, thanks again for the time, Amir. I'm looking forward to seeing you compete at the finale. Good luck. And that's all for this edition of Jazzy Talk. We'll catch you all next time.
See everyone later. Thank you.